live from beautiful Bristol, Tennessee, where it is raining cats and dogs.
It's been nonstop rain.
Nonstop
I'm a
rain.
little sick of it.
I'm too. I'm so fed up with rain. Beautiful Bristol, though. Shout out for everybody who believes in Christmas right now, because it's about going to happen. It's
right around the corner.
It's right around the corner, even though, it's not really Christ's actual birth. And
yeah, there's so
I can't. And when believers come, Jesus really, he wasn't born. We don't put up a tree because tree's pagan. I get it.
Yeah.
Well,
and that's, my wife and I have had a lot of conversations about this.
Yeah.
Her mom has studied a ton of this, and she got me into, I went down the rabbit holes on all that.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is when they scheduled it was around the winter solstice. It was around
it was intentional.
Yeah. It was, was it Constantine? Is it not Constantine? Charlemagne?
I think you're right. The first time, maybe.
Who was it?
Augustus. Who knows? It was one of them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, one of those folks.
One of those names.
It is completely leaving me. We weren't planning on talking about this. Otherwise, I would have looked it up. But yeah, they scheduled it around the pagan holidays so that people would more easily assimilate into,
And you know what?
Resurrection.
And that's a terrible thing to do, right? To try to bring as many people along as you can.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't you dare make it digestible. Don't you dare, So I know I'm stepping on. I know right now there's people I can't believe you're saying that. But I mean, truth be told, it's Christmas. Let's not lose focus. This is the other one that gets me. People split hairs on the Sabbath. What Saturday or Sunday? It's really Saturday. The Catholic Church, I get it. I don't believe that God's intention was the day. It's the concept.
Yeah.
He rested on the seventh day. We're to do the same thing.
Right.
And so that's the whole concept. I don't think it matters. If you have to have your Sabbath on Monday, I don't think God is going to be upset with you for that, or Tuesday or whatever.
Right. My dad, he's a pastor, and he talks about that you're working, he works a full-time job.
Right.
And he's a pastor.
Oh, he's a real pastor.
Yeah, he's
somebody that does it because he loves it.
He does it because he loves it. He obviously ain't doing it for the money. And he's gone from small church to small church. He was in the United Methodist Church, and then he went to they went Global Methodist. But he says, Sunday is a very, very busy day for a pastor, so he tries to have a Sabbath on Monday.
Isn't that ironic?
And
I've often thought the same exact thing.
And that's the thing throughout the pastor world is they're like, okay, you got to have a day off.
Sunday's your work day.
Yeah.
Sunday's the hardest day of the week for you. It all builds up to Sunday on the day you're supposed to be resting.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, there's nothing restful about getting up at 5:30 to pray, getting to the church by 7. There's nothing restful about this. Making sure all the doors are unlocked and the toilet paper's full.
Right.
It's overseeing things. There's nothing restful about it. So yeah, the Sabbath, the concept, it's the concept God is concerned with. And so at any rate, where in the world were we about Christmas?
Yeah,
Christmas.
I don't know.
So it does get me. I think it's important that people recognize when you're in the camp of, hey, we don't put up a tree. Fine, it's great. That's totally fine with me if you don't put up a tree. But be very careful to not point the fingers at the people that do, because we're all celebrating the same Christ, right? And the methodology might be a little different there, or the viewpoint might be a little bit different. Do I think Jesus is angry that we put up a tree to celebrate his birth? I don't think that really probably bothers him one way or the other.
Yeah.
Do I think it bothers him that we don't have the date right? I don't think.
So technically, we're not even called on to celebrate it.
Correct.
Right. It is something that's something we've done, saying we're going to celebrate it.
Jesus actually never said celebrate my birth.
No, he never did. He said, and for his crucifiction and resurrection, he said remember this, do this
in remembrance of me. Yeah,
exactly.
Never did he say put up a tree or wrap gifts
or for Easter he never said go hide Easter eggs.
Right.
And
all the things.
Stuff. Right.
Yeah. So anyway, that brings us to the next point.
We go down a lot of rabbit holes.
We are not going to be on air next week because it's going to be Wednesday night, which is Christmas, and so we'll be with families, family coming to town, family going away from town to go to be with other families. So we'll probably take the week off, as most of you who are our faithful listeners will be a little busy to tune in that night too, unless, of course, you're all by yourself drinking on Christmas. And then you'd be like, where's my Braver Than the Rest group?
That's right.
So I would encourage you to get into it.
Say, well, now what am I supposed to
Get
watch?
into a church.
There's better things you could be doing with your time if
Yes.
that's what you're doing on a Christmas night.
So what do we got tonight, Jared? We got a
buddy.
great show. Caramba.
So we've got, and we can start where you want, but I thought the easy thing to do, if everybody saw the thumbnail, we're going to talk about these UFOs. And, kind of in our text conversation leading up to the show, we were talking about how there's like deception is it's just part of being in this world. It happens at many levels in many different ways, but this UFO thing is one that we've touched on this show before.
Multiple times,
because that is one of the most long-standing, avenues for a deception of sorts that could meet this world and,
the other world.
And the other world, the supernatural, right?
Right. And it's interesting. I'm going to say this, and I know everybody that's listening, everybody across the United States has seen at this point the drone footage from all over. You know where they're not, though, is where people just have firearms. And
that's true. Oddly enough, they're all in gun-free cities and states.
But I'm going to say this, that everybody has seen the footage of these drones, and they're drones.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody has also seen the footage of the drones, and then there's something else.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I want to focus on tonight. Yep. Okay, drones, who has them, where they come from, where do they go? The government knows all those things.
Yeah. Well, and Donald Trump said they did. And before we move on to it, I do want to say that a couple other things. The spending bill, we need to touch on that one because everybody is concerned about this spending bill. So I don't know if you want to start with that or if you want to start with the drone.
I do want to start with this
because I feel like that drone topic is going to take us
omnibus.
Yeah. So and a lot since I did a video earlier today on my Continue Freedom podcast, and I was railing about it, obviously, because that's what I do. I don't like the government spending, but in that time, since 2:00 or whenever it was that I recorded it, until now, they're actually starting to back away from it. But I think we should talk about it anyway.
They need to run away from it, not back away. What they have done is nothing short of a travesty. They're trying to ramrod something through. Mm-hmm. That has so many attachments to it.
Yes. And it's the intent behind the attachment. So I'm going to hit a couple of these.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So the first one, and this was brought up by Ian Yeager, is a pay raise for Congress. And this pay raise is a $70,000 a year pay raise. How many of us would love to be making $174,000 a year, much less going from $174,000 to $243,000 per year?
That is reminiscent of the longshoreman strike.
Yes, it is.
Right?
Yeah.
It's greed begetting greed.
Yeah.
Like you're doing just fine.
Well, Senator Dick Durbin, he came out and this is kind of these people are the ones that are voting on it, right? And I want people to hear what Dick Durbin actually said when a CNN reporter approached him about the spending bill. It's kind of mind-numbing.
Raise? Do you guys deserve a pay raise?
Well, that's news to me. It's good news. What has it been, 10 years or 14 years and no COLA, no change at all?
COLA being cost of living allowance.
I think it's about time something's done.
You support giving yourselves a pay raise.
How would I not know about a pay raise?
But
he didn't even know that it was in it. This is what happens. A 1,500-page bill dropped 24, 48 hours before they're supposed to vote on it. And granted, he's a senator. It's going to get to him eventually. But they don't even know what
was in there.
He didn't know what was in it. And he makes a valid point. So listen to this.
But, people look at the performance of Congress and say, why should we give them more money?
What about the media? Think about that for a second.
And we're not paid by public money.
I know you're not, but half of your listeners are not there anymore. You're still getting the same paycheck?
Nice answer.
It was. However, but look at Congress. Look at the House. Look at Senate.
Yep.
He says, we deserve a pay raise. Well, then he turns it back and says, look at the media. You all are doing worse. You're doing less numbers, and yet you're still getting paid the same. They have a 15% approval rating.
Yeah.
And they say, well, but we deserve a pay raise.
Yeah.
So he tried to make a snarky point, but
Yeah.
it just completely backfired on
Well,
him. So
you know, that D in front of his kind of says it all,
it says a lot.
right?
It does.
And you know he'll get voted back in because he's from where he's from. But you know that answer right there, man, these guys need to be running this show for free.
Yeah.
At this point, to try to save face, not asking for more money.
Well,
The fact that they are the ones that get to decide that wears me out.
yes.
You know what? They could all make $1 million a year because they'll vote it in. And who's to tell them no?
Well, and it wasn't just their pay, right? So it was their benefits package. They
Yeah.
get to opt out of.
They don't have to be part of Obamacare. They can do whatever. They just do whatever they want and play the stock market like nobody's business.
Exactly, insider trading, all that stuff. And this is some other things. There was $3 billion for the DC football stadium because that's obviously our responsibility to pay for that. And there's a whole host of other things.
Did not hold on. I didn't hear that. So
$3 billion with a B for the
Washington Redskins football stadium.
the Redskins stadium. Well, Commanders, but now
No,
they're
they're going back.
going back
because we're sick of it.
they're going back to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it was pork, and then they came back and said, well, we're going to do a clean CR and push it through to the next. But this gets into a lot of the debt limit issues that we've had. If they push the debt limit into the Trump presidency, then that's going to be the talking point.
Absolutely.
For his administration.
Well, but this is what they're doing. They will do it. They're going to try to do it because they're trying to load up. Yeah, it's no different. They're going to sell the wall.
Yeah.
Right? They're selling all that stuff up. Wouldn't it be something if, like, you see the videos of those farmers in Nebraska where their property goes to auction, and everybody at the auction is silent, and nobody buys it.
Huh.
Have you ever seen those videos?
No, I've never seen that.
Where the farmers get together and they're like, you know what? You're not losing your farm to these people.
Oh, that's great.
And so they're just like, forget, we're not going to vote. No, nobody's going to raise their hand for this auction. Nobody's going to take any of your stuff. And we're all going to sit there and make sure that nobody does that. Right.
Wow.
And so they band together so that nothing gets auctioned off. And this guy has his stuff and his land and his, and I mean, that's kind of what I feel like needs to happen with the wall.
Yeah.
Like what company is going to have the cojones to buy that stuff?
Somebody will. There's plenty of
they better be overseas because, knowing how many people in this country want to have secure borders and you're going to go buy that?
Well, there was somebody, and I forget who it was. They made a post on X. I wish I could remember who it was. And they pulled up the screen where they were selling it because they're selling it on something like GovDeals. I mean, it's just a government sales website. And they promised to buy as much as they could get their hands on and donate it back to the federal government.
There you go.
I was like, that, if you got the money to do that, I mean, you're buying these monstrous panels for $5 a piece. They're selling it for pennies on the dollar. That's our money, by the way. That's the taxpayers.
It's my money. Your money.
Right.
Yeah.
We gave it to them. They purchased these things. Now they're turning around and selling them at a loss. They're squandering our money, and they're doing it for political purposes. And that should make anybody mad. I mean,
absolutely.
Regardless of how you vote.
Elon Musk should buy it all.
Yeah.
I mean, he can.
On the topic of Elon Musk, this is unbelievable. We were talking about the spending. So Elon came out and he made a post where he vowed to support to fund any campaign for someone who would run the primaries against any of these rhinos and
I remember that.
Yeah. Well, he came out and said that anybody who votes for this continuing resolution should be challenged in 2 years and voted and elected or voted out of office. And it actually started to change the dynamic. This whole situation has changed the dynamic of the continuing resolution. I'm going to play this quick clip right here.
Last 30 or 40 minutes here that they might try to pull this interim spending bill off the floor and maybe just go with a clean bill. Unclear what that means for disaster assistance. Here's what happened. A post on X by Elon Musk sent shockwaves through the Capitol. House Republicans were trying to see if they have enough votes to pass the spending bill in the next hour or two. Musk posted that anyone who votes yes should lose their office in 2 years.
Love it.
And lawmakers are scrambling.
Love it.
Tweets from Musk, has that complicated this?
Well, I mean, I think that there's always a lot of interest in what's happening up here, and
This is more than interest. They're telling people if they vote yes, they should be voted out.
the social media world is a part of our politics, and I think members have to expect that. There will be a lot of hard votes in the next couple of years.
A member of the House Republican leadership told Fox that Musk is not helping. The lawmaker added that Musk has bigger fish to fry than picking a fight with House Republicans.
That's fantastic.
See, here's the thing. They can't fathom a guy who can walk and chew gum at the same time.
Yep.
He's building rockets to go to Mars. He's got the most successful EV company in the world. He's got the app that is #1 for people getting their news on the internet. He is, and he's doing all of this, and now he's getting involved in government efficiency.
Yeah.
And
calling them out.
Yeah.
Holding their feet to the fire a little bit. And it's about time, because for decades they've answered to no one.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think a big part of this whole pendulum shift is the legacy media being basically just it's been a hurricane for them.
Yeah.
They're done. Like you said, everybody's getting their news from X. Everybody's getting their news from Instagram, so nobody is actually, unless you're 60 or whatever.
Right.
Fox is maintaining numbers.
Yeah, Fox is.
But
Fox is doing well.
CNN?
Yeah, CNN, MSNBC.
God, they are done.
All of them, yeah.
Because, did you see today that CNN fabricated a story about a Syrian?
Yes.
Did you see that?
Yes.
They made it
I bet I can find that on X. If people haven't seen that, they need to.
It's unbelievable how the depth to which they're going to go to get the scoop. That they now are just going to write their own news, because the ratings are so low. They've got to do something. The next thing you know, on MSNBC, you're going to see a white Bronco being driven down the interstate in LA, and they're going to say, you know what I mean? Like they're going to follow it, and it's OJ reincarnated, and you just can't make this stuff up.
Oh, I just had it.
But they did. They made it up.
Yes, they made it up. Well, and that's not the only one. So this same reporter, here, I'll just pull it up over here. Yeah, people have got to see this one.
It's just great. It's so good.
Bard makes us turn the camera off while he shoots the lock off the cell door. We go in to get a closer look. It's still not clear if there is something under the blanket.
Oh, it moved. Is there someone there?
It turns out this whole thing is staged at Diddy's house.
Or is it just a blanket?
Hello? Oh, that's great. Oh yeah, this is so cringe, and I feel like I need to fast forward, but I'll slow down. Let's just watch it.
Oh, there he is. Yeah, no, yeah. He was sound asleep through all that.
I was asleep during the gun going off.
He says, I'm a civilian.
Perfectly manicured beard.
He tells the
Cut
fighter
hair.
he's from the city of Humps and has been in the cell for 3 months.
Okay, you're okay. You're okay.
The reporter has his hand. He's okay.
Oh yeah.
He clutches my arm tightly with both hands.
Does anyone have any water? Water.
How could they do this?
Here's the other thing. It's hard to see in this one. You can see it in another part of the clip. Perfectly manicured fingernails,
Water. It's water.
Oh yeah, he's
manicured beard.
yeah, he's
Okay.
Oh gosh, here I'm sitting here talking and I didn't even have it pulled up so everybody could see. I'm sorry, everybody.
You're okay. You're okay.
they can hear it though.
Yeah, they can hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, my apologies, everybody. I was sitting here. I got ahead of myself. Here, you can watch it. The lady comes in. All that audio that you heard. Oh, or is anybody there? Is anybody there? Gunshot goes off.
The guy sleeps through the gunshot.
He's still sleeping, and then
Thankfully, the power of the reporter is there to wake him.
oh yeah,
He's just in utter shock that CNN is actually here to save him.
yep. But notice the perfectly manicured beard.
He's not dirty. He hasn't soiled himself.
Uh-uh.
Clearly, they were taking good care of him.
Yeah. So it ends up being that this whole thing was staged. The internet sleuths went through and found out who this guy was. He was
Is he a Syrian actor, or not even Syrian? Probably.
No, he. I can't remember what his actual job was, or what he actually did.
He was an Uber driver that dropped them off, that knew how to get to Diddy's house. And that's where they're filming this mess.
Oh gosh, I don't know about all that.
That's what.
But it was. I mean, the lengths that they will go to try to get their message across this level of deception. But there was a separate one that I had seen, and it was here's the photo that showed his perfectly manicured nails and all of that. This is the other one that CNN got caught faking an attack from Hamas when they were in Israel, and these people.
Okay. Closer to the.
They went and they're diving down into the trenches and diving down off the side of the road, and it was all staged. It was all fake to try to draw a narrative, to try to get some excitement.
Unbelievable.
And to get people to watch their atrocious news network.
Jesus does talk about in the last days not to be deceived.
Yeah.
It's awfully hard when the deception is so incredibly rampant. I mean, you can't get a straight news story even. You can't find out what is happening because all of it is so incredibly convoluted at this point. Making up a news story.
Yeah.
That's last time I checked, that's like third world, that's Banana Republic, Communist Party 101. Yeah. Like
it's not any different than North Korea.
Right. They're forcing us to believe a narrative that just isn't true.
Yeah.
And they're creating the narrative. Yeah. They're creating the problem.
Well, and it comes back to going back to the spending bill that these, they're telling us that the government shutting down is going to be this travesty, that people are going to go without their paychecks, that people are going to lose this and they're going to lose that, and people are going to starve and da 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 da. It's just another narrative. It's not true, because the spending is still there, is still approved for, the soldiers are still going to get paid, and and all of that. So it's not going to be the catastrophic scenario that they make it out to be. Necessary spending is still going to be present for everybody. Yeah, and the American people aren't buying into it.
Right.
Yeah. But, you were right, though, talking about deception. Because we're going to get into the UFO stuff and how that is such a monstrous deception for us, or to us. But I looked up a bunch of verses that reference this, and I counted. I had the count, and then I lost it. But it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30, 31, 32. There's like 40 of them right off the bat that are specifically referencing, end times, when we get to the end times, the level of deception that's going to be there, and it covers. I mean, it spans the entire, obviously.
Well,
Bible, but
I mean, we don't really have to dive too deep,
no.
Especially with this audience, to talk about Project Bluebeam.
Yeah,
right. When you can have a whale descend from the clouds, and it's not real, but it looks real, then I think the deception is just the name of the game,
right,
at this point.
And I can give everybody a backstory on Project Bluebeam if you want me to. We don't have to go deep into it, but just
an overview,
just
quick,
kind of a quick overview. And Newsweek
it was designed, and I already know most of it. It was designed because Jared was doing something he shouldn't do, and he needed some cover. So he came up with Project Bluebeam.
Right. This is of my own design. I came up with this.
I project myself doing the good thing.
Right.
Yeah. But go ahead.
So this is from Newsweek, and they did a really good recap, or overview rather. Of,
yeah, I did see this.
Yeah. And so this is just a couple of days ago. The recent surge in mysterious drone sightings across the United States has sparked a resurgence of the Project Bluebeam conspiracy theory, which claims the global elites plan to fake an alien invasion. Since mid-November, thousands of people in New Jersey and New York have reported, and now you said California, near Camp Pendleton.
Yep. As of today, that was right today.
Right.
Although it was from December 9th to the 15th, they had 6 drones in the restricted airspace over Camp Pendleton. Well, here's the thing.
Yep.
They pose no threat to the installation. Okay. This is what blows my mind about all this stuff. If I were to fly in a plane by myself in an ultralight over Camp Pendleton, what would they do?
If you were to do what now?
If I were to take an ultralight and fly over Camp Pendleton,
yeah,
they'd shoot me down.
Yeah. Well, in fact, there's a video on that was on X, and a guy flew his drone over a military installation, and he had the video footage of it dropping out of the sky.
Yeah.
So
these though, they're no threat. But Harry Homeowner's drone with a little camera, that's a problem. Yeah. You know, Timmy's 6-year-old Timmy got a drone for Christmas and standing outside the fence flying it over. He's done.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've got so many theories. The secrecy of it drives me nuts. But for everybody out there, Project Bluebeam is a conspiracy theory that originated in the 1990s, proposed by Canadian journalist Sergei Monost, who died in 1996. It alleges a covert operation by global elites to establish a totalitarian world government by orchestrating fake celestial or supernatural events using futuristic NASA technology. Proponents of the theory initially expected the project to begin in 1995, then 1996. Then after Monost died, the millennium was proposed as the start date. And again, I'm not saying that we believe in this stuff, just saying this is the background of what it is. When you hear Project Bluebeam, this is what it is. According to the theory, advanced holographic technology would be used to project images of religious figures or extraterrestrial invasions in the sky, tailored to specific cultural beliefs. These phenomena would aim to deceive populations, creating global panic and dismantle existing religious and social structures. The theory outlines several alleged stages. First, earthquakes would be triggered to unearth hidden artifacts, proving existing religions are false. Next, holographic projections would simulate the return of divine figures, customized to each region, followed by a unifying God speaking to all people. And finally, it posits that technology would manipulate human thoughts, creating the illusion of direct communication with deities and simulating an alien invasion to justify authoritarian control. I mean, this...
Okay, but let's just break that down. Because you're literally, the Project Bluebeam is pulled right out of Scripture for end times. They're following what Jesus said is going to happen.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
So, one world religion, one world government, and there's a higher power that's running all of it, which would be the Antichrist. And I have said...
Even earthquakes, there would be...
Yes, earthquakes. And I have said on this program, I don't know. When people talk about the Antichrist, is it a person? Oh, he's going to be Middle Eastern. He's going to be this. He's going to be that. As much as I believe that it's going to be a he, I also don't know that he's going to be real. Although he is going to be real. But it is so convoluted at this point.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's wild.
And so it will explain, I will say this, it will give credence to billions of people disappearing when Christ returns.
Yeah.
They took them.
Right.
Right? Blame it on the aliens. It will shatter everybody's faith when a craft is hovering above the city of Boston. Christians will begin to question their faith and their Christianity if they're nominal, because they'll look at that and be like, is God really real, or is this what this was all about? Yeah. Right? Did we just misinterpret it as God? But really it was these beings all along. And so faith is going to be challenged. Everything's going to be challenged. But I did want to point this out because, what we're seeing in these drone regions are not just drones. They're also these orbs. And I don't know. I sent you a link, and then once I sent it, it was done. It wasn't available anymore. So I just sent you another one. I found it again and just sent it to you, not to challenge your ability to edit, but if you can pull this up, because
text it to me.
No, I actually, it's Instagrammed. I
Oh,
found
Instagram.
it. Yeah.
Okay.
But this challenged me watching this because, and some of you have probably seen this, where a woman is filming one of these orbs in New Jersey, not a drone, it's an orb, and they've zoomed in on this thing. And you can tell that this is not an earthly thing. It is not a light. It is not a helicopter. It is not a drone. It is an orb. And so she has zoomed in on this, and she mentions the name Jesus. And it is fascinating. Now remember, at the name of Jesus, every knee will bow. Every tongue's going to confess that he is Lord. He is the King of kings and Lord of lords. The Lord over every spirit, the Lord over every entity, the Lord over every being. Watch how this orb responds to this woman.
Has recorded an orb, not a drone, flying near her house. When she zooms in, you can clearly see that it's not one of these man-made drones that people have been posting all over the internet. This is definitely some type of orb or spiritual manifestation of some sort. And when she says, Jesus loves me, and starts talking about God and specifically Jesus, whose name is above all spiritual principalities and powers, you can actually see this orb start to react.
Can you talk to me? Can you hear me? Jesus loves me. Oh, you know Jesus. You know Jesus.
I don't know how I feel about
Jesus is
that.
awesome, isn't he? God is good.
Yeah, so
As far as the man-made
pause that. First of all, she needs to lay off the merits. Like, she sounds like she's a smoker, if ever there was one.
Yeah.
But when you rewind that just a little bit, if you can, I know
I don't even know how to rewind on Instagram. To be honest, I don't think I can.
Mute it and see if it pulls the picture up of that thing again.
No. Why can't you rewind on Instagram? It makes you watch it all the way through.
Well, I can on my phone. On the very bottom, there's a little thing that scrolls, but you just hit play again or let it play. See if it shows
the full stories with these yet, but these spiritual manifestations that people have been seeing for a long time, these things are evil. There's spiritual wickedness in the heavenly places. Satan is the prince of the power of the air, and that's why these things.
All right, pause it. I would love for us to pull up a side-by-side comparison of that thing and what AI tells us a seraphim looks like.
A lady in New Jersey,
man, come on,
has recorded
There we go.
That's good.
That's good. Let's do that. I have that.
Actually. Do you have that?
Yep.
Yeah. So this is the AI interpretation of a seraphim.
One of many.
One of many, right?
I'll pull up a couple here. I'll pull up two. How about that?
Yeah, that's a good one. What fascinates me about AI's interpretation is in Isaiah and in Revelation both. It says that they have 6 wings. Seraph. They have 6 wings, 2 to cover their eyes, 2 to cover their feet, and 2 to fly with. They cover their eyes so that they can't, because the glory of God, they can't, it does say that they have eyes all over them and within them.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, and only God could figure this one out, how do you cover eyeballs when you're made of eyeballs? Like you
yeah.
It even says the wings have eyes. So it's like, oh, okay. But they can't, it's fascinating. Anyway.
A heavy sweater.
heavy sweater. I don't know. There's got to be something. I mean, that thing never sleeps,
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about sleeping with one eye open. Every other eye. So
wow, isn't that wild?
Anyway, this thing that responds to the name of Jesus, which it would, it's a spiritual being, it's a spiritual entity. It's an angel of light. It's deception. I believe this with all my heart.
Mm-hmm.
When you see things like this in the sky, when you see things like this in your yard, when you see, and I'm going to say this, I'm not a prophet, but we're going to see more and more of these things.
Mm.
This is not going to become an uncommon thing. You're going to see more and more. In fact, I would say January, February, you're going to start seeing more and more and more of this kind of thing. Because as things ramp up in the heavenlies for the return of Christ, the manifestation of the spiritual stuff is going to become so overwhelming that the deception will be so rampant, because Satan is his shot over the bow to lead as many people away as he can. And he's going to use power players that are in our world right now that have developed things. I mean, we've talked about the population control. We've talked about the nefarious players, the nefarious spirits that are out there. But he's going to use those things to deceive, and the deception is going to become more and more. This thing that responds to the name of Jesus isn't responding to the name of Jesus because it loves Jesus. I don't believe that. I believe it's responding to the name of Jesus because it's scared to death of the name of Jesus.
Interesting.
So, all that being said, I'm interested, if anybody's tuning in right now, and I know we get a lot of people that listen later. In fact, we talked last week about if it wasn't so late here, we'd go on at 10 o'clock because we get more people that chime in.
Yeah, we do.
10 o'clock hour.
We hit 10 o'clock hour and people just start going nuts.
But what are your thoughts, people, about what we're seeing over the skies of New Jersey? You know, I know we've all heard the theory of the nuclear warhead that's gone missing, or that they got over here in parts, and you know, there's a radiation spike in the skies of New York. We've all heard that. We've heard that the firemen and all first responders, if one of these drones is downed, they've got to wear a hazmat suit.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah, they've got to have the bomb squad out there and have a hazmat suit on. So we've heard this stuff. I don't care about the drones. I care about what we can't explain that nobody's talking about.
Yeah.
And these things, I mean, there's a video of a drone flying, and one of these orbs flies around it, and the drone just falls out of the sky.
Yeah. Well, and there's what the pilots have been seeing, you know, these strange craft, these things, you know, that's part of the deception. And when it comes to the drones, I know you said you're not worried about the drones. I'm not necessarily worried about the drones. Most of them that we're seeing are lit. If they are the Chinese or the Iranians or whatever, they're not going to be they're not going to be lit up with FAA required lighting.
No, and I've heard that there's a company that listed, I don't even remember. I think I heard it on Glenn Beck the other day, that there was a company that said they were going to be testing some military drones in November and December. And okay, sure, maybe. Yeah. But have you seen the sped up footage of these things and the trajectory, how it's just one after the other, and they're doing the exact same. I mean, they're all doing the same thing. It's kind of like that. That is a flight path.
It is, and you can hear in some of them. There's audio. You can hear combustion type engines.
Yep.
A drone that's running on battery power is not going to be able to stay up for any long duration. It's going to be
5 hours. These things are staying up for.
You're talking about a fixed wing drone of some sort. It's going to have combustion engines. It's not hobbyist, and this is the thing. There's always the speculation. I believe it's a distraction. It's an intentional distraction. They aren't telling us. They told us, that the Pentagon, that these were hobby drones at one point. And there was a reporter who came out. I don't think it was Catherine Herridge, but it was one of the White House reporters. And she said, if these are hobby drones, why are all the briefings about them still classified?
Yeah.
Valid point.
Point.
And of course, the guy couldn't answer. And the general that she was talking to couldn't answer. This is a distraction for something else that's going on. I believe it is our federal government who's doing it. I don't know what they're doing, but I just think it's important we remember what we are getting from them is not always going to be the truth. What we are getting from the mainstream media is certainly not going to be the truth.
Well, both. I mean, we're not going to get the truth from the government. We're not going to get the truth from the media. And so
you have to follow alternative folks if you want to, for stuff like that. What you're talking about with this is different altogether.
Yeah. And that's kind of why I wanted to talk about it, is because they're all talking about the drones.
Right.
And it's our government searching for the nuclear stuff. Okay, fine. And they're not going to let you know that because they don't want to panic and everybody leave New York because there's a nuclear bomb on the loose somewhere. I mean, this is stuff right out of remember the show 24?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I never watched it all that much, but I do remember.
I mean, that's what this is right out of that. Like, you know, it's almost like they've watched our drama sitcoms, you know, and been like, let's do that.
I feel like they're trying to reenact those things.
Yeah, reenact it. I mean, so
it's like I can imagine some staffer who's like, I saw on an episode of 24, you know, this happening. Let's see if we can make that happen.
Picks up the phone, you know, it's like
we have $50 million in our budget left. We got to get rid of.
I mean,
let's reenact this thing from 24. Send some drones up and let's freak some people out. Yeah.
Right. And next thing you know, terrorists will take over a skyscraper and just at Christmas during a holiday party and somebody will have to be barefoot.
Oh, yeah. That's exactly what I was thinking. Right? I was like,
like give
me some German terrorists and
right.
Let's reenact Die Hard.
I heard today they were talking about German, I think it was Clay and Buck, they're like German terrorists who speak with a British accent. Like, no, that's not, you know, even a good German who learned English in Britain would still have Z, you know, like
Best Christmas movie ever. Anybody who disagrees with that, I want to hear about it in the comments. Best Christmas movie is Die Hard.
Yeah, they had their whole thing was like Die Hard's not a Christmas movie. Like they say it is, and the public's like, yeah, no, you know,
it's a Christmas movie.
It's a Christmas movie.
Of course it is.
I mean, it's a classic. At this point, it's right up there with Ralphie and the leg, and you know, like
welcome to the party, pal.
I mean, it's you'll shoot your eye out, kid.
Poor Bruce Willis.
Oh, he is
one of the greatest action heroes in history, and golly, bless his heart. Pray for him this Christmas.
That's a good, bless his heart. That's right. That's right. So I wanted to take a different angle because I believe that as the time draws, which it is, I mean, you think about this. Right now we're on the cusp of Israel feeling secure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's about to happen. Syria is in disarray. Hezbollah, Hamas, disarray. Iran is about to lose their shirt because Trump's coming in and that funding, even though they just got another, what was it, $80 billion from Biden.
Yeah, I forget what it was.
Like, why would you support the world sponsor of terrorism with money? Trump's going to come in, tariffs go back up, all this stuff is going to change. Israel is going to be secure. The Bible talks about very specifically when Israel is feeling sure of itself, peace and security, which that they are saying that all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So at any rate, all these things are starting to align to a point where we have to ask ourselves a question. And I would just challenge you tonight. Ask yourself the question, what comes next?
This conversation is really coming together because I actually have a clip for this.
Do you really?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
So what's her name? Sarah Adams. Have you heard of Sarah Adams? Probably not.
Is she any relation to Sam Adams?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
So this is Sean Ryan. Everybody knows Sean Ryan.
Yeah.
A repeat guest he has had is a lady named Sarah Adams.
Okay.
And Sarah Adams is a former CIA. I think she was an Intel. I don't know if she was an Intel analyst or a collection and aid, whatever it is. I forget what they call it, but he mentions it. She is primo when it comes to Intel, particularly with the Middle East. Let's listen to this. And there is one cuss word in here, I think. So apologies for that.
How certain are you that we'll see something in 2025?
I'm certain we'll either have embassy attacks in 2025 or the homeland attack or both.
All right. Well, there you have it, folks. So Sarah Adams, former CIA targeter. And like I said, we got a love-hate relationship. I love having you on. I hate the information that you bring us because it's just, but, you know, we need to know it because while the government doesn't want to take this shit seriously, a lot of citizens do. And, you know, they're getting ready. A lot of people are getting ready. A lot of people are yanking their kids out of school because of safety. A A lot of people are at least yanking them out of schools that have no safety precautions or any plan at all. and it's important that regular everyday Americans hear this stuff, because like you said, like Scott Mann says, nobody's coming to save you. This machine is no longer working. And so you better take matters into your own hands. And once again, Sarah, you write our intelligence newsletter every week, comes out every Monday.
This girl is by the way, I think the most requested guest that he gets on his show is millions and millions. He's got billions of views now. And she is the most requested guest. She's incredibly knowledgeable about the family structures, about all the power players in Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, everybody. She knows what's going on.
I like that her answers are short too.
Yes.
She doesn't get into it. Just
well, in the show she does. She goes deep. Oh my gosh. She will sit and talk for like 30 minutes straight.
Okay.
About family structures and who this guy's cousin is doing this and did that. And
because what we got there was the real deal of like, no, I'm 100% certain.
Yes.
2025 embassies, maybe even the homeland.
Correct.
Maybe
some
even
disrupting
the
event.
Homeland.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
So that's what comes next. I'm going to say this though: bunkers, your AR, all that stuff is not going to make one bit of difference when it comes to what's coming. And I know people that have the rain barrels and they're prepped and have done all the things, and I'm totally fine with all of that stuff. I'll probably be at your house. But what's really going to happen, nothing you can do will prepare you for.
Yeah, not for that, no.
And and God even says in his word, he has to cut it short or else there won't be anyone left. That's how incredibly devastating. Once millions of people disappear, it's going to be hell on earth. Not literally, but yes, literally.
Right. Yeah. It'll be indescribable.
Yeah, we can't fathom it. So, but I do want to, what if? What do you think would happen if, like she's saying, an attack on the homeland? I guarantee if I lived in New York, I'd be looking to leave, right? I'd be looking to get out. I'd be looking to come somewhere else. The problem is wherever you go to be away from people is where people are going.
Mm-hmm.
So all those places like here are growing exponentially.
Yeah.
And it just...
So do you think that I still think that regardless of what happens, there's going to be there has to be some monstrous, what's the way to put it? I can't even think of a way to describe it. Oddly at a loss for words.
Salad?
No.
Okay.
Some monstrous event that is going to, when it comes to there will be wars and there will be
famines, pestilence,
right? All of these bad things, wars and rumors of wars, right?
Okay. So I want to touch on that because you're bringing that up. Hold your thought.
Mm-hmm.
Don't lose it.
Yeah, I'll try not.
Okay. But we just named wars.
Yeah.
Famines.
Yeah.
Pestilence. Okay. Plagues.
Yeah.
Famines. Touch on famines for just a minute, because we are on the verge of a food crisis. Are we not?
We are. And famine, we got to look outside of America, because when our dollar is inflated,
yes,
and we experience inflation, other places experience famine.
Right.
Yeah. And it's only getting worse.
It's only getting worse.
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
Well, I was just going to say that the wars and rumors of wars, these things must happen because it's just part of that, but it's part of the human existence. The big ones that are going to that we're going to see as we come towards, I think that it's going to happen in the Middle East. It could happen in America. America is not necessarily even, not really referenced, I don't think, in the end times.
It's not.
Yeah. So do I think that the largest country, largest, most powerful country in the world is just going to upend overnight because of a war? I don't think so. But I think 2025 seems like a year where it could happen because just from a political perspective, Donald Trump, there was, I was talking in my podcast today about this retired Air Force guy. And he had gotten millions and millions of views. There's other people who've been getting millions and millions of views and a lot of positive feedback from people on the left saying that they need to try to muster 11 million people to come into Washington, D.C. On Inauguration Day. So we've been talking about January 6th, and that's what they hit the Republicans and the conservatives with. They want their own version of that, only millions of people to show up and prevent Donald Trump from taking office. Could that be a homeland thing? There's a lot of vulnerabilities here. We could really rabbit hole it, but you get 11 million people that show up. National Guard's not going to do anything against that many people. Even if you get 1 million people that show up, National Guard's not going to be able to do anything against that. Some form of an overthrow by the left of the federal government.
A war.
Launching us into civil war.
Or a war period.
Or a large enough collection of people that it's easily targeted by the same people that Sarah Adams is talking about in the nation's capital. Or mass casualty event.
What we're seeing in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Nobody's talking about.
Right.
Or
at Camp Pendleton and in New Jersey. And right. you spread, you have enough areas of like an attack to upend the U.S., the power grid. We talk about that. The power grid is one of our greatest vulnerabilities. But large-scale mass casualty events in multiple places all at once, because 9/11 was one place and one place alone. It was catastrophic, obviously launched us into a 20-year war. You do that in California, in D.C., in New York, New Jersey. Now you're talking about in multiple fronts. And these people have come across, people willing to do that have come across our southern border.
Absolutely.
We know for a fact that radicalized people have come from the Middle East. They've come from China. They've come from...
But what if, let's just spitball this. What if it's not the radicalized people coming from China and coming from everywhere else? What if it's our own government trying to stay in power?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I am more likely to believe that than I am that this is outside coming in. This is inside.
Well, I think it's a symbiotic relationship between the people coming in from the outside and the people on the inside allowing them to come in.
Right.
Bro, this is just such historically dicey territory. And we had this huge win with Donald Trump coming in, a huge win by Republicans taking the Republicans taking the House and the Senate and having a mandate from the American people that they want to cut spending. They want to decrease government waste. They want to shrink the federal government. For the first time in 100 years, this is being we now have a platform where we can vocalize those ideas on X. We have an entire alternative media outlet that's getting billions of views, reaching hundreds of millions of people, and people are turning off the mainstream news. This is the primo time for actual change to be made. And that nameless, faceless, weird machine that operates in D.C., where I was reading about ancient civilizations that, particularly in the Bible, 6th century synagogue inscriptions. They're talking about inscriptions. They were putting honors of the donors and the rabbis all over their buildings, and everything was in honor of these men, not of God. This is part of the and I'm like, look at Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
It is a city full of cathedrals and corruption, and it mirrors ancient civilizations from the Bible. And what are they willing to do to their own people just to maintain power and influence and control?
And that's the big question, right?
Yeah,
that's the big question. What are the 5 major corporations that own 90% of what we consume willing to do?
Exactly.
What are the what's big pharma willing to do? You think about this on top of the drones, on top of all of these things, on top of a January 6th pending coup, and I'll just speak to that for a second. You made a statement that the National Guard wouldn't be able to hold off 1 million people.
Mm-hmm.
I disagree in the sense that these are lefties. And so, I don't know that they would have the stomach to continue to press on in the face of tear gas or in the face of, do you know what I'm saying?
Antifa would. So
because they get paid.
Right.
Every casualty gives their family $1 billion, right? By George Soros. But other than that, the normal, vagina hat wearing woman isn't gonna press through.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen. They don't have the stomach for this.
I mean, that's a fair point.
But I like the nefarious players that, we've got all of these things lining up, and now we've got an actual human being with the bird flu in Louisiana.
Yep.
Gavin Newsom, a state of emergency in California because of the bird flu. And so, isn't it ironic, maybe a little too ironic, that they've now figured out we're going to have a vaccine soon for the bird flu. We're going to have and I watched a thing just the other day that showed under a microscope the vaccine,
mm-hmm.
and how there were parts of it that were lighting up, parts of it that came together. And the doctor was walking us through that these nanoparticles are forming an actual microchip.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, a microscopic microchip. They're coming together. And there were flashes and other flashes, and they came together. I went to pull it up to send to you, and guess what?
It's gone.
It's gone.
Yeah.
I mean, as fast as these things get up there,
well,
they are gone.
Pharma is, you mentioned pharma, and I'm just going to throw out it was an interesting data point that I just wanted to share with people, and I happened to see it today. We are 4% of the world's population. We are 70% of worldwide pharmaceutical sales, and we are 60th in life expectancy. Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
And it's not just pharma; it's the agricultural industry.
Ag, it's everything.
Yeah, it's big ag and the stuff we're putting in our food. And this was part of a they're coming really hard in the paint against RFK Jr. and all he wants to do with big ag, with the pharmaceutical industry, all that kind of stuff. But they made a valid point. They said this is an exciting time for to have an RFK Jr. because those are the stats. We're 4% of the population. We're 70% of worldwide pharma sales, and we're 60th in life expectancy.
Yeah.
That ain't good for the most wealthy.
No, but I do believe that a lot of that has to do with why RFK Jr. is in office. I think a lot of that has to do with red 40, all the things that are banned in Europe that we consume, that our food manufacturing industry needs to be ashamed of itself.
Oh yeah.
But
I'm not a fan of regulation.
No,
when they're doing,
it's nefarious.
It's
evil.
Yeah, that's pretty evil stuff. Yeah.
I did want to read this though. Radar guy here. I know who's operating the drones. 25-year radar operator for a major agency. Just thought I'd let you know what's been going on the past few weeks. The drones are part of a military, quote, drill being conducted by Space Force. Everything is on a need-to-know basis, which is why there's so much confusion. What gets me concerned and why I have to make this post is that something big is about to go down. I happen to know that there are additional, quote, full lockout drills that are scheduled to take place between now and Christmas Eve. These operations involve the full turnover of all radio, radar, and aircraft communications to the military for several hours at a time. In conjunction with that, there will also scheduled satellite launches off the books, which have been occurring since October. They are setting up some kind of, quote, big show, quote, for the public very soon. CNN was even at our facility recently shooting pre-roll footage for a future story. I don't know what's going on, but I know this. Get ready.
Wow. Who is that from?
This is from...
Was it a guy on X or on X?
Our Conspiracy. Kid and Pay is his name. 25-year-old radar operator. Or 25-year radar operator.
25-year radar operator.
Yep, for a major agency.
Okay.
So
major. I mean, I'm thinking of who's got radar operators. really, I mean, we used to rely on radar in when it came to artillery. You know, we had our radar guys, but interesting. I mean, Air Force, Army, Navy, they've all got it. I don't think the CIA's got it.
I'm sure they probably do.
Well, but they wouldn't have a basic.
They would just use you.
They would just use other agencies. Yeah.
So at any rate, get ready for a big show. Big show. Okay. Get ready for a big deception.
Yeah. I mean, man, we can't put it past our a government that's as large and influential as ours, the largest in human history.
Yeah.
I mean, they were willing to intern people, intern American citizens during World War II. That wasn't even 100 years ago.
They were willing to do it if you weren't vaccinated.
Yeah. Yeah. They were willing to lock people in their own homes, arrest them, put them in camps. Don't put anything past them, everybody. Don't put anything past them.
So, Christmas. This could be a Christmas to remember.
It could be.
Every Christmas is a Christmas to remember.
Yeah.
But this one could be really special. And I will tell you the other thing that I'm going to touch on, the spiritual side of things. In the prophetic world, the calendar kind of stops at 2025, 2026. Everything points to these years. And 2030, the 2030 agenda, is the brass ring of Christ has already come back. I mean, at this point, if this is really where they're going, there's nothing sustainable on the globe. Population control, becoming God. If you read transhumanism, I mean, yeah, all of it. You read that stuff and you go, this is pure evil. This is satanic. What they want to do is satanic. And as much as I love Elon Musk and what Elon Musk wants to do with our government, he's also part of the transhumanism movement.
Yeah, with his robot stuff, transmitting Neuralink, yeah,
all of it, right? So,
because you can be a direct player with a nefarious intent, or you could have a benevolent agenda and still be contributing to the
contributing. They wouldn't be able to get there without his technology, right? But they're going to use it. They're going to use everything they can.
Skynet was supposed to be the greatest thing ever, right? We got the Terminator.
Yep, yeah, that's right. That's right.
I mean, it's true that.
And these drones, they're talking about these drones. Basically, I mean, Amazon's to a point where they're going to roll out instant delivery with them, right? They're going to be everywhere. They're going to be doing everything, and they're going to be controlled by your phone, by an app, by a whatever. That stuff can think for itself soon. It's not.
It already can. In China, the drone swarms. I don't know if you've seen the videos of the drone swarms.
They're really cool.
Yeah, they're very cool. The shows they can put on. Yeah. But imagine drone swarms that are incredibly cheap, mass-produced drones, and fly that into, fly it into the air, and you're stopping helicopters, you're crashing helicopters, you're
planes,
crashing aircraft, anything you want to. A drone swarm. It's an inexpensive way to use AI, which is what they will be guiding them with. Couple of algorithms and the targeting system.
What about missiles? Could they bring down missiles with them?
I mean, presumably.
I mean, you fly 500,000 drones up, cheap little Temu drones. Wouldn't that take a missile out? I mean,
that's kind of like a wall of things, I guess, is what you're. Because I mean, essentially, that's what it. When you're intercepting, the different missiles that we use to intercept other missiles, like the Patriot missile system and all that stuff, it essentially makes it The CRAM system, it's a counter rocket artillery mortar is what it's called, and they attached a CWIS to it. And if you've ever seen a CWIS, Google it and watch the video. But it is a last ditch missile defense system for ships, and it fires it's a Gatling gun essentially that fires at a high rate of speed. And you'll watch it, and it sits there and zigzags rounds back and forth and makes a wall of bullets, and so the rocket runs right into it.
Right,
is essentially what it is.
Same concept, then, just using drones, like a curtain of drones, and they go up, and they could even do Santa Claus over you, like in the lights. You've seen it. I mean, it's a blanket of drones.
Watch the Chinese drones.
It's unbelievable.
Oh, the shows are unbelievable. Yeah.
So, at any rate, these things will think for themselves. Skynet. It only takes one glitch. It only takes one, when they're communicating in a language we can no longer understand, when they believe that they're human, when they believe that they
general artificial intelligence that's going to be the.
Well, and now they've created I read the other day, and let me find it before we talk.
Because right
about
now, artificial intelligence is somewhat fenced. And when they go to general artificial intelligence, it'll be exponential growth. It'll have all the characteristics of what most people think AI will be, which is it has a conscience and it's free thinking and it's acting like a human, only a human that can instantaneously access and process all of the information available on the internet, and they can use it to deceive people. And I mean, it's kind of becomes a runaway freight train at that point.
So in the quantum computing world, apparently there's a question that they've asked our best computers can't figure out. And it would take them I believe whatever comes after a trillion.
Yes, it's like a septillion or whatever
years
it is, quintillion
for our modern technology to figure out. They've asked the question, and they've come up with this arbitrary figure of beyond time for our it can't be done.
Yeah,
they've created a computer that solved it in 5 minutes.
Yeah, I heard about this.
So, and I think that question was, what is a woman? But I could be wrong. So,
well, the best Harvard professors
they can't answer.
We
can't figure it out.
Can't figure
we
that
cannot
one out.
figure it out. And why are they in? Why do they not have their own sporting world? But so you think of that. This just happened, right? This just happened. And we've talked about on this show, the Hadron Collider, right? That they've now started the process of like another dimension that they're opening up. And that's not okay. There are so many things that are happening right now in our world, in our time, that lead you to believe. And, yes, when I asked the question, what's next? And you brought that up with an attack, on an embassy or on the homeland itself. Yes, absolutely. That is plausible, probably beyond 100% that something's going to happen, because we have so many people here that hate us. Number one. Number two, we have a government currently that I do believe hates us.
I would totally agree with that. Yeah.
And number three, because we've got a globe where a lot of the globe hates us. So something is just, especially when you've got a president who's coming in, who is somebody that doesn't play nicely in the sandbox with other countries.
Right.
And they know he's coming in. They know he's going to make changes. It's going to be rough on them all. I mean, Trudeau is out.
You mean the governor of Canada?
Right.
Have you heard that?
Yes. Have you seen the mess that's up there?
Brilliant, man.
Today they were calling on him they were calling on a vote today. They're like
to oust him.
Yeah, they're done with him.
Polyev, I guess, will be. I mean, I don't guess he can step in, but they'd have to. I don't know how.
I don't either. Probably over.
They need Pierre Polyev.
They sit down over syrup, maple syrup, and
a glass.
Right, some cider and maple
glass
syrup.
Of syrup and a little bacon.
Yeah, and they decide,
Canadian bacon is ham. I'm sorry,
it is.
It's not bacon.
So, at any rate, it's a mess.
Yeah,
and yet it's also scientifically. We're on the verge of some great discovery every day. It's funny how in Daniel it says that people will be traveling to and fro, like knowledge will increase. This is the end times.
Yeah.
Like, okay, are we not able to travel to? We are. I mean, 15 years from now, who knows? We might be able to snap our fingers and be in another place.
Yeah.
This is how rapidly
it's moving so fast.
Technology and the knowledge, the increase. And there are people that will say that knowledge will increase in regard, and they look at it as the global knowledge will increase. I I don't not ascribe to that. However, I do believe that that's referencing knowledge on the Word of God increasing.
Mm-hmm.
We've had more Bible sales in the past year. I mean, it's
well. Look, at Starlink is a prime example of this too. Elon Musk again. If you've seen the growth of Starlink, there's a animation where you can see the number of Starlink satellites. He's able to reach something like 90% of the globe.
Yeah.
With Starlink right now. I mean, it's
90% of the globe with the gospel.
Right. I mean, when you've got access to information, you've got access to the gospel, and it's he in a lot of places he's trying to give it out for free to some people. He wants free access of information. Of course, he wants a lot of those people to use X. He is talking about an X cell phone, his own X phone, and
So let me ask you this: isn't that just as dangerous as, in a sense, isn't that just as dangerous as a totalitarianism? Like a government controlling the narrative.
I have thought about this, but here's the thing: if it's almost like it plays out like an action thriller or a James Bond movie,
okay,
right? What's the intent, right? But that intent can turn when one person has that much authority, and he's a fairly dispassionate person. I can't say he's dispassionate. If you've ever saw his 60 Minutes interview about the place in Australia that had no electricity, or people were deciding between groceries and electricity, you can see true emotion. You know, he was sad. And then he went on to build the largest battery bank ever built. And so, sorry, my dog's barking. I think that having that much power in one person's hands, it's kind of sketchy. It's kind of scary, but at least in the interim, it's doing the right thing. He's doing the right thing with it.
Yeah,
his intent is not, he doesn't want to destroy his companies. He's not out to.
And he is who he is. And so far, everything I've seen about him is okay. Yeah. I get it. And
I've seen a lot of people speculate that he's one guy says he's the Antichrist.
Yeah,
I believe he's the one that's going to usher in the Antichrist.
I've heard that too.
Is Elon Musk. And I'm like, I don't know. I couldn't speculate on that, but
I have a hard time believing that.
I do too.
For a few reasons. Number one, I don't believe that there's a nefarious bent to him.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Number two, I don't think he is not a spiritual person. He doesn't talk about religion and spiritual things as much as he talks about business and politics, business, and really.
Well, he speaks in a binary right and wrong a lot. I mean,
but that's part of his condition, right?
He's got Asperger's.
Yeah,
and he's very analytical, right?
Yep, he's very this is right, this is wrong. So far, everything has been about treating people right and doing the right thing by people. He's got that going for him.
Yeah.
Never has he demanded anybody worshiping him. Never has he, right? No. So there are all these things that make you go, no, the Antichrist is going to be a figure that is in existence or will be in existence, right? That is going to put the world under his thumb.
Right.
Now, Elon Musk would have that ability if the whole world is on X.
if everybody gets all of their information from X by using Starlink and an X cell phone, and they're driving around in Teslas, he pretty much controls most of it. And their house is powered by a Tesla battery.
But let's take it a step further. It's not. I don't believe it's going to be him.
No.
But anybody.
But does that mean, like you're saying,
anybody that gets his stuff, right?
Right.
Hostile takeover of the company, hostile, like whatever it is, right? It's an easy out. We all ascribe to the same algorithms. We all have, right?
Yeah.
They can force the same knowledge on everybody, and everybody can become a believer. UFOs have abducted 1 billion people, and that's all we're hearing because that's the narrative that they want us to hear.
Right.
And we've got one platform that everybody's listening to.
Right.
So I could see how that would work.
But I think that as long as X stays X, the information will get sifted through. People can sift through the bull versus the truth, and it's not going to be.
That's the key. As long as
his algorithm doesn't sway.
As long as X stays X.
Yeah.
I mean, Facebook in the beginning was great.
Right. That's
right.
true.
It didn't take them long to muck that up. Right. Where they're now doing politics, and he has to come out and apologize, and has to come out and say, yeah, you know what? It probably wasn't the right thing to do to go ahead and try to sway a vote, to silence voices. This whole debacle with David 19, where you had people coming out saying, don't take this. It's full of this. It's full of that. I mean, the snake venom guy has made a real comeback on my feed, where have you seen him? He's all over the place on my feed, where I'll send you some stuff where this thing, the primary ingredients are venom, snake venom. And you know what fights snake venom is nicotine. And this guy is saying, you know, eat a lot of tomatoes. They're full of nicotine. He's giving you all these different vegetables.
Tomatoes?
Yep. Yeah, green tomatoes especially. You know, if you don't want to go out and start, you know, dipping or smoking or whatever,
a pack of Marlboros. That's
right. He said if you come down with David 19, start eating a lot of tomatoes, start eating, you know, and do the vitamin regimen and stuff. It'll get rid of it.
That's so wild. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, because because he said the primary derivatives in this are snake venom.
It did remind me of that thing that you sent me.
Yeah. Oh, I can't believe you're putting that up.
Should I put it up?
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, you can put that up because it's.
If you're okay with it.
It's actually kind of tongue in cheek and funny, and
it is
true. You know, we never had mass shootings in the 70s. We, you know,
never had people weren't having to go to therapy.
Right. It's ironic, as therapy has gone up, so has the mass shootings. And we have talked about this a little bit here, where you can over therapize.
Oh yeah, rumination.
Yes,
is
it's a bit of a problem.
Rumination's a big deal.
So here's a great question now that it's 10:15, 10:18.
Oh wow, yeah. And by the way,
our viewers have gone up.
Thanks you guys for coming on. Yeah, we appreciate
comment,
it.
Comment, all that stuff. What do you think of this, guys? Is it possible that therapy is creating narcissism?
Oh, that's an interesting thought. I don't know.
Like, you go in because, you know, my boyfriend's a narcissist. Can't believe it. You know, I need therapy because he's a narcissist. But you're talking about yourself all the time.
Yeah. I don't think that's causing narcissism. I think narcissism is, I think a lot of it comes from how a lot of people are raising kids these days. It's the participation trophy.
Yeah.
Culture that we've got,
the entitlement mentality,
all that stuff, and social media has created a lot of narcissism.
Yes.
So yeah, I think that's what it is. And therapy, you know,
I'm going to say,
again, like the whole rumination thing, the people that sit there and every day or not every day, but every week or every other week, you're sitting there talking about all the same problems over and over and over again, and it's making things worse. But if I had Jordan Peterson as a therapist, I think I'd probably
do all right.
I'd probably do all right.
I wonder how many therapists out there, and I don't know if we have any listening, but have you ever told somebody, you know, stop it? Right. Have you ever told anybody that their feelings are not correct?
Right.
I have a problem with that. Like, because people say, well, your feelings aren't right or wrong. They're just your feelings. Okay. But that's an improper way to feel. Like, that's not the right. Your feelings are lying to you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know how else to put it. So what do you say to that?
I think it all went downhill when we started saying, tell me your truth.
There you go.
That's the worst. That's the worst thing we've ever told people. But that's your truth.
Because when you line it up,
there's the truth.
When you look at the word of God, right? You look at what God says, God's laws, God's whatever, and then you look at how you feel.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, in my world, in my life, like, you know, 60, 70% of the time, I don't feel like this word says, like everything in me goes, I don't want it. I don't want to, you know, because it's my sin nature. I don't want to. I want what I want. I want that. And God says, no. Yeah, but God, I want this. And he says, you should give it away.
He's the parent that says you can't have that.
It's exactly right. And so, you know, I don't know. I think therapy, you know, like the graph says, therapy has done some things to people. And I mean, back when we had smoking
in restaurants,
back when we had smoking in restaurants, it wasn't like this.
It was a good life back then.
Yep.
Everybody got to secondhand at least one.
Isn't it ironic? You didn't have any problem with David 19 back then because everybody was getting nicotine, whether you wanted it or not. You were getting nicotine at the grocery store. You were getting it everywhere you went. So
I will say in the 70s, because I got on this weird bent of watching serial killer interviews and all this stuff. I watched one and it started showing up in my YouTube feed. They were everywhere in the 70s. This was a long stretch of. I don't even know if I can say that on YouTube. We're probably kicked off of YouTube.
Yes,
anyways. We were talking about David 19.
You can, yeah, but you got to understand. So yes, there seemed to be a lot of serial killers in the 70s, in the 60s. Manson brought that on. It was his fault. They glorified him to beat the band, right?
Yeah.
He was all over the media in the 60s. So the 70s follow with Son of Sam, with who else? I can only think of Son of Sam.
Here, I'm the one who's been watching the movies on it. There's a lot of them that you don't hear. They didn't get the Manson or Dahmer or any of those types of claims to fame.
Right. Dahmer was
John
80s.
Wayne Gacy. What is he?
Gacy. He was in the 80s, wasn't he?
Something like that.
So, but I mean, I'm just saying that. So, okay, you got a couple weirdos, serial killers. Now you've got cartels smuggling people everywhere. You got P. Diddy. I mean, who knows what's gone on Epstein Island, right?
Yeah. Oh gosh,
I cannot wait for that episode when we get to go over that list.
Oh my goodness,
I can't wait.
Cash Patel needs to hurry up and get it. He can't get in quick enough.
No,
he really can't.
No, he really can't. So now,
so much of that stuff being brought to light, it's going to be glorious.
It's going to be amazing.
Yes,
but I do want to say, in 10:23, we're getting ready to go off air. Please comment, like, share. We would really love more and more people to be informed, to think for themselves, to recognize that everything, all the way down to the drones flying over New Jersey, there is a spiritual shift that is happening in our atmosphere, not just our nation, but all over the globe. And I do believe that it's all about the return of the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. And I would encourage you, if you don't know Jesus, surrender your life to him. The Bible says that all who call on the name of the Lord will be saved. And it's as simple as just, Jesus, I need you. I believe in you. And that's it. I mean, you can say the words, but believe the words you're saying. Check your heart, because the time is so short. So, till next time, if you would like correspondence with us, you can feel free to leave comments. We will respond to your comments. Also, you can email us directly at thebraverthantheRest@gmail.com. Again, thebraverthantheRest@gmail.com. Or you can go ahead and call Jared. Let me pull up his number and give it to you.
That's not going to happen.
But as always, we appreciate you tuning in and spending some time with us tonight. And keep your eyes to the skies. Our King is returning. We will not be on next week.
Correct.
But we will be back after the first of the year to celebrate 2025.
Brand new year.
Brand new year. Embassy, Homeland Attack.
Oh.
What else did she say? Those two, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's it.
All right. Braver than the rest. We love you.